Consider the friction that arises when we debate the origins of our knowledge. Often, we mix the documented history of those who physically built our schools with the abstract symbols representing wisdom itself. When historical events and mythological ideas are tangled together, they create a vacuum of confusion. This lack of distinction often leads to societal conflicts that prioritize terminology over actual understanding. We resolve this through two lenses: action and abstraction. The lens of action tracks physical history, the specific people, dates, and methods used to achieve real results. The lens of abstraction deals with cultural myths, the symbols a society creates to represent its highest values. Keeping these two lenses separate provides a way to examine our past with clinical accuracy, while still holding space for the artistic and cultural representations we value. Looking through the lens of reality at the 19th century reveals a landscape where mass education was far from a universal right. There were physical, systemic barriers that explicitly prevented entire sections of society from entering a classroom. The dismantling of these barriers was led by specific individuals, Savitribai and Jyotirao Phule. They operated through concrete action. They opened doors, secured locations, and established schools for people legally and socially barred from learning for centuries. This change relied on physical tools, chalk, slate, and the literal labor of teaching. It was a logistical achievement achieved through persistence and physical presence. To understand this dynamic, we have to use precise language. While the Phules created new access, specific sections of society worked to block it. Identifying these roles clearly allows us to see the actual mechanics of social change without resorting to broad generalizations. These are documented physical facts. These actions established the infrastructure for modern education, creating a verifiable shift in who was allowed to participate in intellectual life. This history earns our respect because it was bought with human effort and individual sacrifice. It is the weight of these real-world actions that anchors our understanding of progress. Now we can transition to the lens of abstraction, moving away from the physical events of the 19th century and into the realm of cultural symbols. Here we find Saraswati, a central cultural symbol representing knowledge, wisdom, and the arts. Symbols function as conceptual containers. They are beautiful ways for a culture to personify its values, but they are not agents of physical history. Saraswati embodies the idea of education. She is not a historical figure who secured school funding, faced physical opposition, or navigated the social politics of 19th century India. Conflict arises when we treat symbols as if they were historical actors, or when we demand that history conform to the idealized standards of mythology. By keeping symbols separate from historical records, we allow facts to remain factual and cultural icons to remain undisturbed as ideals. In our daily lives, applying this dual-lens framework changes how we engage with our heritage. It establishes a baseline where understanding history doesn't necessitate an attack on cultural symbols, and honoring those symbols doesn't require us to ignore historical evidence. Maintaining this distinction for yourself is often enough. There is no requirement to force consensus or to exhaust your energy in arguments over mixed categories. This approach protects your focus. By choosing only to speak when it adds value and clarity, you avoid the drain of unnecessary conflicts. When clarity regarding the past is balanced with respect for our cultural symbols, it creates a sustainable way to value our heritage. The directive here is straightforward. Distinguish roles clearly. Let the historical builders be credited for their labor, and let the symbols remain the representations they were intended to be. By keeping reality clear and symbols separate, we recognize the human truth of our history while maintaining a steady, objective understanding of the world we've inherited.